And hey, we're here. How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good day? Yeah? So good, right? Having such a fantastic day, I know, I'm sure. Woohoo! Alright, we are ready to get rolling. And today, just plug that in real quick. Today we're working out of Google Docs. Excuse me. I love Google Docs for a couple reasons. Number one, it's really easy to share it with people. My editor is on Google. My beta readers are on Google. You just have them do a nice little put in the address, and bam, they have access to your work, and you're good to go. So, let's see here. Comment, interact, and let's have fun. Okay. Wet the whistle, and we're good to go. So we're going to finish up Chapter 5, talking about corrections staff. And we're going to see if we can get through 5, 6, and 7. And that is the goal today. So, here we go. Rumor wreck. One of the most annoying phrases uttered on an hourly basis in Max, sometimes up to 4 or 5 times an hour. When the group that was out heard the rumor wreck shout, they moved to get locked in their cells or the rec yard. This shout happened for many reasons, most of them involved moving an inmate. Anytime someone had court, a professional visit, a mental health meeting, or a dozen other things, they had to get shackled up so they couldn't hurt anybody. This was only in Max. General population... General? Is that wrong? General population didn't have to be shackled for most of their meetings. While someone was being shackled, everybody on their time out got locked down. Standing around waiting for them to leave was maddening. We couldn't do anything but watch the precious time tick by, eating up our 3 hours of free time. Today, the shout came from a not-so-nice CEO, McGruff. This was for an especially long lockdown event, blood sugar checks, or as we like to call it, the stabbing of the pigs. With 6 diabetics to stab, we got used to losing 20 minutes of our 180 minutes of semi-free time. Semi-freedom. Lucky for us, the nurse stabbing the pigs today was Red. At 5'2", 100 pounds with a spankable bubble butt, she was our jailhouse fantasy. After several months in close custody, I started to miss everything feminine. I dreamed of a woman's touch. I laid in bed trying to remember what a female smelled like. Even non-sexual things were deeply missed. I'd have done just about anything to get a long, comforting hug, and just be held. Maybe smell the top of a woman's forehead while I was at it. But here I was in Dicktown, where penis jokes and genital drawings abounded. It got to the point where even just the presence of a female was comforting. Unfortunately, all the female COs were mean, distant, or unattractive. The nurses, while not cold, were all fat or old as dirt. Red was the sole source of feminine energy that perked up my day and filled my fantasies. She may only be a 7 out in the world, but she was a jailhouse 10 plus. You just have different standards. You know what I mean? The standards are just so different. As I stood in the rec yard with 7 other inmates straining to watch her stick the pig, I shifted uncomfortably, hoping no one noticed my hard-on. After being denied for so long, you could make me burst with just a look. Autist was the first to speak. Why don't they have any Asian nurses? Of course you'd ask that, you weird little anime nerd, shot back Jackson. I'm just saying, said Autist. Asian. There was a pause before everyone realized that was all he was going to say. That was all he had to say. You're crazy, I said. She's great. You're only saying that because you're in jail, replied Jackson. She ain't got no body. Hey, I shouted, respect Red and shut your goddamn whore mouth. 2 seconds ticked by. Ticked by before Gramps, in his old man cadence, said, "If the mouth is a whore, shouldn't it be open?" It was so funny and absolutely unexpected coming from him that everyone in the rec yard just about died laughing. A bang, bang, bang killed our laughter. It was McGruff at the rec yard. Don't fucking harass the nurse. We weren't even talking to her, and we're behind a locked door. But no one was about to argue. It was always better to agree with the CO or stay silent. I stayed silent while Jackson nodded stupidly. "Yes, sir, boss." "No fucking boss," yelled McGruff. The CO-inmate relationship was one-sided, The CO-inmate relationship was so one-sided that the inmates having passive-aggressive tools, like calling staff boss or sir, helped to let off some steam and keep big blow-ups at bay. Okay, that's why I missed. BOSS was an acronym inmates called COs. It stands for big old sack of shit. The problem was all COs knew what BOSS meant, so it didn't really work anymore. After a while, we took to calling the COs we didn't like sir, which stood for shit included retard. Shit included retard. Not as good, but the deputies didn't know about it. The CO-inmate relationship was so one-sided that the inmates having passive-aggressive tools like calling staff boss or sir helped to let off some steam and keep big blow-ups at bay. As McGruff and Red left, no one was feeling super chipper. I don't think it matters how old you get. No one likes getting yelled at. After a while, with no ability to stop the yelling or any means of retaliation, it started to affect your mood. I think this is pretty well edited, guys. Let's focus in on it, shall we? Not all the COs are mean screamers like McGruff. Some are really nice and helpful. I was fortunate enough to have a huge network of family and friends to support me. The downside was all the cards and letters took up all the space in my cup. The downside was the cards and letters I was fortunate enough to have a huge network of family and friends to support me. The downside was the cards and letters took up all the space in my cubby. I wanted to keep all the thoughtful things people had written to me, so I decided to have them kept in my property the jail holds for you until you leave. No, let's put it back to the way it was. The downside was the cards and letters took up all the space in my cubby. I wanted to keep all the thoughtful things people had written to me, so I decided to have them kept in the property the jail holds for me until you leave. I don't like how many times I say the. So I decided to have them kept in the property jail holds for detainees until they leave. So I decided to have them kept in the property jail holds for detainees until they leave. The first CO I asked for help with this told me he didn't have time. The second said he didn't do that. When I asked who did, he said, "I don't know, I just work here." "I just work here" would turn out to be a popular response to most of my questions given to me by several COs. The third guy asked was Tom. We called him Tom the Turtle because wearing his vest with his big body and much smaller limbs, he looked very turtle-like. Turtle-like. Unlike the other deputies, Tom the Turtle looked me in the eyes, listened to me, and was helpful. "Oh, sure, I can do that. Give me some time and I'll pick them up." "Oh, sure, I can do that. Give me some time and I'll pick them up from you in a little bit." "I'll pick them up from you in a little bit." Grab them. And I'll grab them from you in a little bit. And the turtle was as good as his word. Once I figured out who the kind and helpful COs were, and made an effort to only interact with them, my incarcerated life got way easier. I sat watching my cellie closely. He just found out that because his mom was a witness in his case, the court wasn't going to allow him to have any contact with her. His mom was his only family and support. At 19, he was feeling pretty hopeless. I suggested he talk to mental health. Maybe they could offer support or even suggest supervised contact with his mom so he could at least hear her voice. He pressed the button and the speaker box came to life. "Hello?" "Hi," my cellie said into the speaker. "I'd like to talk to mental health, please." "Are you suicidal?" No. It sounded like he wasn't sure. Hang on, guys. I'm having a hard time talking. Much better. The nasal cavity really helps being able to just... now I can talk, now I can breathe, now we're good to go. No, it sounded like he wasn't sure. Then fill out a medical kite. "Oh, okay. Could a guard maybe bring me a medical kite to fill out then, please?" "First off, we aren't guards. There are no guards here. Guards protect things of value." He said value slowly, making sure it was understood that we had none. If I'd have been faster, I'd have told him the judge said I was worth $400,000. "Second, you can get a kite during your timeout." "I'm not out until 6 p.m. tomorrow," my cellie replied. "Okay." A moment of silence passed before my cellie replied, until my cellie said... Moment of silence before my cellie said... Cellie said, "She sails by the seashore." "So if I said I was suicidal, could I talk to mental health right away?" "No, but we'd strip you of your clothes, put you in a padded smock, and lock you up all alone in a suicide watch." More silence before my cellie let an "okay" escape his lips. The young man standing in my house looked at me, lips trembling, trying his best not to cry. I'm sure he was afraid of what I might do or say if the waterworks started. I played it off, calling the CO an asshole and trying to get his mind off his circumstances on a card game. As we got talking, it turned out he was suicidal and without hope. I made him laugh by talking him through the options available to him for taking his life, and all the most terrible ways each might go wrong. I ended the night by giving him some Bible verses to read. He found some good stuff in John. You'll be happy to know my cellie was reunited with his mother after being offered a generous plea deal. I think some COs forget that it's often not what they say, but how they say it. They've also been taught that inmates are all terrible people who they need to keep under their thumb or they'll walk all over them. While that may be true for some in jail, most are people just waiting patiently for trial or paying back their small debt to society. Most are people just waiting patiently for trial or paying back their small debt to society. The CO's job is, in large, mainly customer service. They make deliveries, answer questions, and help inmates function properly. Proper communication should be the emphasis on every correctional employee, and in my observations, it's sorely lacking. Proper communication should be the emphasis on every correctional employee, and in my observations, it was sorely lacking. Next time? Nope, that's not right. Next time. Time is not capitalized. Next time I asked the CO for a medical kite, I received it within 10 minutes. I'd had this lump on the base of my neck for a while, and I was told it was likely cancer. It had started hurting after trying to sleep flat on my back, so with my mother's urging, I put in a medical kite. The next day, a nurse came to see me. Unfortunately, it wasn't red. I told her verbatim what was written on the kite. She said I could go see the doctor if I wanted. Since she hadn't told me anything or given me any treatment options, I guess I'd go see the doctor. Like, come on, what am I supposed to do? The next day, deputies came, wrapped me up in chains, and took me to see the doctor. Once in the doctor's little jail office, I was weighed and measured. I'd gained 8 pounds since being detained. I shrugged it off as stress weight. The doctor then saw me in my chains. He felt my lump and told me it wasn't lymphoma, but lipoma, similar but not cancerous. I told him it hurts to sleep on it, so he told me not to sleep on it. Whoa, no wonder doctors are paid so much. I asked if there was anything I could do. He said no because it wasn't medically necessary. Our entire conversation probably took 3 minutes. A few days later, I was surprised when I got a bill for $10, citing the doctor's visit. I felt a little ripped off. I never got a good reason why the jail's medical couldn't be charged my insurance. Why the jail's medical couldn't charge my insurance. Forcing people to pay out of pocket was all pocket for all their medical needs, especially those requiring insulin or expensive medications, when they have insurance that covers their needs, seems wrong. Forcing people to pay out of pocket for all their medical needs, especially those requiring insulin or expensive medications, when they have insurance that covers their needs, seems wrong. The time and place to ask the COs for anything was at the door to the pod during your timeout, while the deputies did their hourly walkthroughs. The time and place to ask the COs for anything was at the door to the pod during your timeout. During our timeout. The time and place to ask the COs. The best time and place to ask the COs for anything was at the door to the pod during our timeout, while the deputies did their hourly walkthroughs. Juanita, a grumpy and lumpy lady in her early 50s, was at the pod door today. Most female COs seem to be in constant state of irritated anger. Constant state of irritated anger. Like they're on their period and can't wait to take their aggression out on somebody. Because of Juanita's constant PMSing, we took to calling her Mad Cow. I threw my old towel through the door, like we're instructed to do, before asking, "Can I get a new towel?" in my normal chipper tone. Juanita looked at me with disdain in spades. As she said, "Please?" My smile disappeared. My lips were straight, unmoving lines. My lips were a straight... My smile disappeared. My lips were a straight, unmoving line as I stared her down. 5 Mississippis passed as we faced each other before she finally threw a towel at my face. You know, please goes a long way. I wanted to scream, yell, and curse. But I simply turned and walked away without a word. How some of the COs talked down to inmates was infuriating. Inmates are adults and should be treated as such. At this point, I had been incarcerated for nearly 5 months. I was in a position where I had to ask for soap, towels, garbage bags, and toothpaste. That means I was asking a deputy to give me at least one of these basic multiple times a day. Basic essentials multiple times a day, every day of my life. Inmates shouldn't be made to beg every time they need an essential item. They should be able to get what they need and go about their day. And that's something I never understood, right? Like, why on earth is it so difficult to just, this is now yours, right? Here, you guys have, you have things like soap, okay? Little teeny tiny bars of soap. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to just go out and grab a bar of soap if you want one. Like, what's the point? What's the point of policing that? Let's see what I did there. Policing that? They're correctionals officers? Yeah, I'm funny. Let's continue editing. But yeah, it's one of the things that I never really understood. After being talked down to and made to feel inferior for such a long period of time, I can understand why some inmates turn violent. The amount of bent-up anger and aggression in a single pod is staggering. Not long after Juanita's pleas, which happened several times with other COs as well, I was standing at my door, looking at the TV, when a deputy walked past. "Hey," he stopped and said, "So I hear you have a hunchback." Not what I expected. What? "Yeah, a big growth on your back." I think he was hoping I'd show him. "Wait, so you guys know what's going on with us medically?" He gave a shrug. "Sometimes." "Isn't that against HIPAA?" HIPAA is the Health Information Protection and Privacy Act. He studied a moment before saying no and walked away. Excuse me. Now, the CO wasn't the one I gave my medical kite to, nor was he at the doctor's office. So someone told him about my medical condition. Apparently, doctor-patient confidentiality didn't exist in jail. In my opinion, the deputies shouldn't even be looking at my medical information. They should simply turn the kite into the medical profession. shouldn't even be looking at the deputies shouldn't be looking at any inmate's private medical information. They should simply turn the kite. They should simply turn the kite into the medical professional. Yep, it's a much stronger sentence, guys. Stronger sentence. It's important. Important job. Stronger sentence. I talked with the leprechaun, and we decided to put a kite in addressing people's... Put a kite in... I talked with Leprechaun, and we decided to put a kite in to address possible HIPAA violations. The response back told us that if we didn't want COs to read our medical kites, then we had to tell the CO not to read it when we handed it to them. I awoke feeling groggy. I got up and made a lukewarm sink coffee. I got up and made... I woke feeling groggy. I got up and made lukewarm sink coffee. Staring at myself in the mirror, I began questioning my appearance. 5 months without any sun made my skin pasty white. I had bags under my eyes. I started questioning if I was oversleeping, because I definitely didn't lack sleep. 5 months of growth and no beard oil available left my face looking quite caveman-like. I decided I'd have to shave before trial. Since we only received a single blade disposable razor, as trial was approaching, after being incarcerated for 5 months, I set to cleaning up the scruff. I decided I'd have to shave before trial. As trial was approaching after being incarcerated for 5 months, I set to cleaning up the scruff. Since we only received a single blade disposable razor twice a week, I thought it best to shave my wild beard in stages. I set about having fun with it, shaving the center of each cheek with thick mutton chops going all the way to my chin. I was the talk of the town. I love attention, in case you didn't notice. I love attention. So much fun. So much fun to have attention. Being the talk of the town, let me tell you. Next, I had the Hulk Hogan beard. Hulk Hogan is a person, so I should capitalize his name. Next, I had the Hulk Hogan beard, which left me calling everybody brother. After that, I had an insanely long soul patch with a decent mustache. By this point, everyone in the pod was waiting to see what my facial hair might look like next. Finally, feeling a little mischievous and wanting to have some fun, I took everything off. Everything except for a little 3-inch patch under my nose. I figured for once in my life I had no one to impress, and I'd get some shocked looks and laughs. People gave me a lot of laughs and whoa or no way. Often the conversation went, "A Hitler stash? Are you crazy?" And I'd respond, "I'm just a really big Charlie Chaplin fan. I'm just a really big Charlie Chaplin fan." Needless to say, I was a big deal and loved the attention. Passing a heroin. Heroin? Hang on now. Which is right? Is it heroin with or without an E? Let's look this up. Let's Google it. Get our phones out. Heroin is a noun. It is a powerful illegal drug obtained from morphine. It is extremely addictive. For example, he was arrested for supplying heroin. Heroin. So, heroin without the E is the correct way to do it. Okay, so what the heck is heroin with an E? Heroin. A woman admired, idolized for her courage. Oh, a heroine. That's funny. Oh my gosh, that's a title. That's a great title for a short story. The heroin addict. The heroin addict. Dun dun dun. That's funny. On the streets. Okay. That's a short story worth writing. Let me tell you. We're going to use that later. Heroin. It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be perfect. Don't believe me? Ask a friend. That's funny. That's such a fun play on words. I love that. Good water. Passing a heroin addict in his room laying in his own excrement, I saw McGruff at the same time he saw my little mustache. What the fuck is that on your face? What the fuck is on your face? A mustache. I thought it was obvious. You shave that shit off you fucking face. I wisely walked back to my house in silence. Who was he to yell and curse at me like that? And who is he to tell me I can't have my facial hair any way I want? They already tell me what to wear and how to wear it, but I'd be damned if I let them control any more of my appearance. It was Friday. I'd planned to shave it off Monday, but as an act of defiance, I kept it for 2 more weeks. Several COs made comments, but none as aggressive and rude as McGruff. Every time the pod door opened, I'd run to my window to see if it was McGruff, so I could stare at him, and he could stare at my mustache. Jackson in his cell, he played a lot of rummy. Oh, here we go. Okay. Rummy is not spelled that way. Rummy is spelled R-U-M-M-Y. This is why we edit, people. Rummy. Neither was much of a reader, and they could play rummy for hours to pass the time. They often played to 10,000, which, if you know rummy, is an insanely high score. Stone was one of my favorite COs. You could tell he was the class clown. But along with joking around, he was always ready to listen and be helpful. When Stone did his walkthrough, he'd always stop at Jackson's house and ask who was winning at rummy. Who was winning rummy? He'd often explain things like, "You're letting him win, huh?" Or, Why you getting beat up so bad, man? He was how we wished every CEO was. One day, Jackson and his cellie started arguing with Stone about who was actually winning. Stone ended the competition by saying, "You know who I think is really winning? Me. Because I get to go home to my wife." I don't think he had any idea how much his joke hurt, especially Jackson's cellie. He had a wife, kids, and he didn't need a reminder that he wasn't going to be able to spend time with them for who knows how long. And he didn't need a reminder that he wasn't going to be able to spend time with them for who knows how long. Even the best CEOs can forget their place and take a joke too far. In addition to having a lot of power over the inmates, the CEOs get to enjoy freedoms that the inmates don't need to be reminded of. In addition to having a lot of power over the inmates, the CEOs get a lot of freedom that incarcerated people don't need to be reminded of. Nothing can incite nothing incites a flooding of cells. Nothing incites a flooding of cells like a deputy walking into the pod eating an ice cream cone. That happened twice, and yes, the cell was quickly flooded. Yep, I like the sentence. Sorry, sometimes I just have to focus, you know? Let's read together. Let's write together. Let's focus. We're going to focus. We're going to look at it, and we're going to go, is this what needs to be done? Is this good? Is this what we should be focusing on? You tell me. Let's go to Twitter real quick. I just want to see what's going on Twitter. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. What's happening? Manchester City versus Real Madrid. Cool. Doctor Strange, get tickets now in theaters May 6th. Ooh, Stranger Things 4. Okay, I'm so excited for Stranger Things. That's awesome. My boss told me I dropped the ball by going into labor at my due date. Well, that's rude. Bad boss. Huh. What are we looking at? What part of symptomatics carriers are you unclear about? There is no such thing. Asymptomatic carriers. Huh? Talk about some bad medical advice. Okay, yes, you're very pretty. Had a horrible, fitful night of sleep because I dreamed. I got a huge offer in my book condition on me changing all the characters from human to penguin. That's funny. Oh my gosh, I'm totally interacting with this tweet right now. Oh my gosh, what a happy feet kind of thing to do. Let's go GIF. Happy feet. Happy feet GIF. all my characters. Reply. Woohoo! And we are good. Good and done. Done, done, done. Okay, let's go back to editing. It's really nice to just take a break for a second, right? Just like breathe. Just not a long break. We're not like watching a movie or anything crazy, but just a quick little 5 minutes of let's relax, let's get our mind in order, let's look and see what's on Twitter, because Twitter's fun for me. I can see something that's kind of funny, writing wise, and I can reply to it. It's like TikTok, but, for writing. I'm a fan. Okay. It was the beginning of a new month, which meant I could expect cell searches soon. Deputies shook down cells in their groups unless they had reason to suspect drugs in a specific house. When they searched, they typically had a garbage bag in their hand, ready to throw away contraband or anything that made an inmate happy. Contraband makes you happy, friends. Contraband makes detained people happy. Leprechaun's group was just searched, so I gave him things I wanted to make sure weren't taken. They were mostly kosher, oatmeal packs, and plastic cheese. I then set to hiding my other contraband. In jail, you're only allowed to have 3 of things. Three t-shirts, 3 socks, and 3 books. Asking why this is... Asking why this is... Asking why this is... Asking why this is got me an I just work here response. 3 books sounded like a... 3 books sounds like plenty until your family and friends start sending you books and you have that fantasy or crime series that you still need to read the last 2 books of. You'd give some of your books to another detainee to hold on to, but you did that with Charlie and he got taken to the hole and lost your book. Now, you'll never learn if Pippi and Pony ever avenged the death of her half-brother's lover. So to avoid this heartache, I hid my books. The place COs never found them was under the bunk behind the bottom cubby. The downside was, the books were hard to get to. I had to use a broom. When it came to keeping my chip bag safe, the best hiding spots were between the bunk's pole and the wall, under the desk cubby to the left far corner, behind the toilet paper roll, or inside a sock. Toilet paper. Is toilet paper one word? It's not. Toilet paper roll. My shower head I really didn't want to lose, so I kept it in my pocket. Condiments I hid in my chip bag. I asked why we couldn't. I really didn't want to lose my shower head, so I kept it in my pocket. There we go. Much cleaner, better sentence. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. I really didn't want to lose my shower head, so I kept it in my pocket. Condiments I hid in my chip bag. I asked why we couldn't keep condiments if the point of food being contraband was so it didn't go bad. I asked why we couldn't keep condiments if the point of food being contraband was so it didn't go bad. The response I got back was, "That's the rules. If I had any food day of the search that I wasn't able to get to Leprechaun, I'd hide it in the bottom of my garbage bag." Let me hide it at the bottom of your garbage bag. Let me hide it. Here. Let's take a quick little photo. There we go. And now, send it to Snapchat. And my Snapchat says, nice. I'm just going this stuff again. I'm just going this stuff again? No, I'm just doing this stuff again. Doing this stuff again. I bet you guys didn't know that I'm an author on Snapchat too. Just so you know, if you ever want to become an author, that can be difficult, but it's really easy to become a writer. All you have to do to be a writer is to just write. Write poetry. Write about your day. Keep a journal. Just start writing. Write whatever you want to write. And all of a sudden, you can call yourself a writer. What do? I'm a writer. How do you make money? I write. I write on a blog and people pay me that way. Or, like me, I make money on Patreon. That is the way to do it. Just, what do? I'm a writer. That's what I do. I write. I write for a living. I need to use the restroom and wake up a little bit more. I will be right back, guys.